No doubt it's a busy time of year. You have the Christmas holiday, running around all kinds of different places. You've got New Year's Eve coming up. You're going to be someplace else. You're off for a couple of days. You got a lot of lost time to make up at the office. Well, you and I have got to do a better job of sneaking away as much as possible, because despite the fact there's not a lot of people on this Long Beach Island beach, there are still stripers and some bluefish to be had here at the Jersey Shore. I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman Magazine, and the biggest fish that we heard of this week was our Beach Talk reporter, Nick Honachefsky. On Monday, blitz conditions all by himself, dozens of stripers that he caught in the wash, but the biggest taped out at 50 inches from snout to fork of the tail. He said the fish was 30 inches in girth, a fat fish that, according to the IGFA formula, weighed in at about 51 to 55 pounds. And Nick released that fish for a guy who's caught a lot of big fish in his life. That was the biggest that he's ever caught in the surf. And go figure, it happens on December 28th. This is amazing. That fish was caught on an Ava jig with a sand eel teaser, the Tsunami Sand Eel teaser. So you can figure out what to throw. Easy throwing those metals too. Sometimes you're throwing the plugs, you got to get the right touch to the right darter or the right popping plug. But this is great for throwing the bucktails, throwing those jigs and those sand eels, those great imitations from Tsunami. Now, the report we got from Charlie's Bait and Tackle as of Monday the 28th is there were blitz conditions throughout that stretch from Normandy Beach down to Seaside. It's almost like ground zero for that late fall, now into the winter, striper bite along the coast. At Grumpy's Bait and Tackle, Brandon here, he had bass and bluefish. The bluefish were up to 11.4 pounds. Again, that was early this week around Seaside Park. Now, when the fish aren't blitzing here on Long Beach Island on Wednesday morning, Gene Akins from Merchantville, he checked in with Surf City Bait and Tackle. He was throwing an SP minnow in the wash in Surf City and also hooked up. We talked with Andy at Riptide Bait and Tackle down in Brigantine. He says while it's not blitz conditions in the Brigantine surf, not yet, there are some blitz conditions just offshore. So the guys that keep their boats in the water or keep their boats on trailers are still getting into some of that action. My friend Captain Scott Newall, he also trailers his boat, his timeout charters, heavy-duty fluking guy, but he's been enjoying the striped bass bite from Absecon Inlet, heading out south down off of Atlantic City. And what he told me on Wednesday, pretty nutso. That was his exact quote. Pretty nutso out there with short, fat, and heavy fish. Short, fat, and heavy. I think that's what my wife said about me right after the Christmas dinner. So what are they eating? That's the biggest question. Well, David at Absecon Bay Sportsman Center, he shared this photo with us. It looks like a pencil popper to me if you look at that photo. So they're taking a whole variety of things. You can drag those stretches, you can drag those mojos, or like the report we got from Al Credelli last week, the plastics, throwing the pencils, and also getting into that jigging action. Augie Conti was down in Ocean City earlier this week, and he caught a fish of 44 inches, 30.6 pounds. He had that one on bunker. So this action continues all along the Jersey coast, and while a lot of the shops now, of course, in between this holiday season, they start to go dark for a couple of weeks, for a couple of months, or shortened hours. Joe and Amanda, for example, down in Lewis Harbor, the Lewis Harbor Marina, they're headed down to Florida now, but they still keep the shop open on weekends, which is a good thing because those fish are down in Delaware, and the guys down on the Delaware beachfront are now catching some stripers as well. Chris Van checked in with Lewis Harbor earlier this week. He was out near Cape Henlopen at the end of the flood and throwing bunker. That is definitely your best bet right now, is getting down to the Jersey Shore and enjoying some very quiet beaches, but throwing those plugs because there are still some stripers. Regrettably, the black sea bass season will end in New Jersey and Delaware this week, New Year's Eve. As we ring in the new year, we also say goodbye to the black sea bass season for the first couple of months of 2016. And also here in New Jersey, the porgy season will close down as well. But some of the party boats will now turn towards the cod bite. They'll be getting out for cod, for ling, for some pollock. But the cod bite has been something that's really sustained a lot of these guys over the years. So take a look at thefisherman.com. Take a look to see who's sailing. Jump on one of those party boats, get offshore, and take a look for some of that cod. So as we say goodbye to the humpbacks, we can look for some of those big cod on some of these offshore trips as well. I want to remind you, next week is a big show week here in New Jersey and in New York. First of all, the Garden State Outdoor Sports Show goes from January 7th through the 10th. That's at the New Jersey Convention and Expo Center. the Raritan Center ticket special. You can find reduced ticket prices at www.gsoss.com. A bunch of good seminars, and that's great for fishing and hunting. Of course, we'll be at the New York Boat Show next week from the 7th through, from January 6th through the 10th. That's the 6th through the 10th at the Javits Center. Big show up there, and of course, we're going to be giving away that cobia boat. The Dream Boat giveaway will happen on Saturday, January 9th at 1 o'clock. A bunch of seminars there presented by the Recreational Fishing Alliance in partnership with the Fisherman Magazine. And right there were all those fishing seminars. You can take a look at our big drawing next Saturday. And if you're on the Dreamboat leaderboard, why don't you email me, jhutchinson@thefisherman.com. Let me know if you're coming. I would love to see you up there, and hopefully we'll see you turning the keys to your brand new Cobia and Yamaha engine. We'll see you at the boat shows next week. Don't forget to pick up the latest edition of the Fisherman Magazine, the January edition. You folks that sent photos in 2015, we have a special section, blew out the report section with all kinds of photos, lots of photos from our fisherman readers from the past year. So pick it up, you subscribers will get access to it. And again, see us next week at the show, and of course always on a weekly basis here at the Fisherman Magazine and thefisherman.com.
To receive the latest fishing reports, subscribe to the Fisherman's YouTube page. Click subscribe, then click the settings button and check Send Me Updates. You'll now receive notifications of the latest Fisherman YouTube videos and reports. If you're already a subscriber, make sure you've checked Send Me Updates in the settings so you receive the latest notifications.